me Rabab Zehra from TECHx Media. We are at GISEC Global 2022. I have with me Mr. Hamid Qureshi. He is Regional Sales Director at Entrust. Let's have a conversation with him, get to know more about their company and the company's presence at GISEC. Hi Hamid, how are you?
Good, thanks. How are you?
I'm good. It's a pleasure to have you here with us.
Thank you.
Okay, so as we are at GISEC Global 2022, let's start with talking about Entrust's presence here.
Yeah.
Tell us more about the company and why being at GISEC is important for Entrust.
Sure. So Entrust has been in the area of cyber, in the area of protecting identities, machine identities, personal identities, protecting data, information. So we're very much relevant in this part of the industry. GISEC's important because it's the de facto security industry event in the region. So it makes sense. It kind of makes sense for us to be here to see what the trends are, what other companies are doing, what our customers are interested in, what the organisations, what the government's doing. So the government here is always quite interesting in what they do from a digital point of view, and therefore the security that goes with that. So it has many reasons for us to want to be here.
That's great. So Hamid, we are at GISEC. It's all about cybersecurity, and cybersecurity is vast. It's not a small industry. So in this era of evolving cyber attacks, when we are just a click away from getting attacked, how should organizations prepare themselves to combat those attacks? What are the biggest threats organizations are facing at the moment?
So I think the first and foremost, organizations are under threat, whether they realize it or not. It's not a question
of if. To realize it.
Yeah, it's a question of if, not when. So I would say that that organizations need to think about their posture, and cybersecurity is not just about having a perimeter, something that makes it difficult for bad actors to come into your organization. That's all well and good, and there's a place for that, but that's not the be-all and end-all. And nobody wants to be tomorrow's headline, right? So I would suggest that organizations need to consider their overall posture, not think about acting when they have to. Sometimes we see that people only act when they've had a breach. And there's been a lot of high publicity, very well publicized breaches in our region and other regions. Or sometimes they only act when there's a regulation that says you must do X, Y, or Z. Our suggestion would be proactive. Think about the fact that when you're out there and you have digital presence, you're going to be a target. Events recently and further back have shown that things can change on a world stage. So it's not a question of if, it is when. So therefore, think about your overall posture, think about your overall strategy. And a lot of the threats and a lot of the problems come from within an organization, actually. For example, we have appointed a company called the Ponemon Institute for the last 15 years. And we get research from them, things around encryption trend study and PKI studies, things like that. And we've done some regional ones in the last 4 or 5 years. And really the biggest threat that organizations feel is from within. So, how do you protect from within if you're building a wall to keep people out, right? There's a difference there. So think about what you're going to do to protect your information assets inside your organization. And that's where we come in, right? So our kind of areas of speciality are around things like protecting information, encryption. When you have encryption, you have things called encryption keys, keep them safe. The analogy is, I used to say my mother-in-law used to lock her front door, but then keep the key outside in the map. So she locked the door, but still the vulnerability of the house is there. So, if you're implementing the security solutions, you need to be careful about keys and other critical assets which need to be protected, because otherwise you're not protecting your organization. And in this world where it is digital, we are moving to digital, you and I can sit in front of each other. You can verify, you ask me who I am, you can verify who I am. I asked you about you, right? You verified your identity. How do you do that when it's remote? How do you do that when it's you interacting with a machine? How does a machine verify that with another machine? And that's where digital identities and managing the credentials of digital identities and assuring that the certificates that these digital entities have are valid. They allow access to do certain things. They allow me to be where I should be. They allow me to extract the information that I'm allowed to. These are all the things that really help organizations manage their internal threats in a really structured, coordinated, and a very robust way. So that's one of that's an area that we really do kind of double down on, because sometimes organizations need to be reminded about what they should be doing within their four walls, not just what's happening outside.
That's great, and a wonderful overview of what is happening in the region and how organizations should prepare for it. So
so I think there's a couple of interesting dynamics. So first of all, what we've seen is that organizations are beginning to take care of their key assets, the things that they should be looking out for. But I would say a lot of the time, they're only doing that because there's a regulation. So try and stay ahead of the curve is the way to do it. To know that anything which is vulnerable, there's probably going to be some kind of regulation that comes along at some point. So don't wait for that. And I kind of alluded to that earlier. So that's a trend that we're seeing. People are beginning to take care of stuff that they weren't worried about 3-4 years ago. And the other thing that may be a bit controversial is people are moving to cloud as well. Cloud is here. Cloud is going to happen because it just makes sense. So organizations are looking at, how can I take advantage of cloud but yet retain an element of control, right? So that that control, again, either it's through regulation or because they want to retain that control. So we offer solutions that help them do that. So get the best of both worlds. Take advantage of nobody builds data centers at a scale and with the skill that the people like Amazon and Microsoft and Google do, right? Let them do it, but think about what you can do to take advantage of them. But at the same time, you're the people who really are in control of what you let them have a look at. So that is something that is definitely a trend we've seen in the last few years.
That's interesting. It was a pleasure talking to you, Hamid. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned to TECHx to know more about what is happening at GISEC Global 2022. Goodbye.